All right, let's get into it. So, all right, so I'm gonna show you guys a video. So I'm not sure. A lot of times, people don't catch the beginning of the show. That's when I do the reading. But the last time I was focusing on a chapter called Faith in the Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And faith is always an interesting topic to me. And I've spoken a lot before about, how I'm more of an action type. I'm more of a just keep chopping wood, more so than just kind of lay back, accept what's coming your way. I'm not it's already written. I'm not that type. I believe that I'm writing my own story. I'm directing my own movie. And that's just how I go about life. So for me, it can be difficult, when I hear a lot of people talking about faith and words like hope. It's more so hope. And I think that we use those two words simultaneously, where I don't think that they mean the same thing. I think that hope, a lot of times we use faith in a way that we're talking about hope. And I think hope is perhaps one of the most dangerous things that people can embrace, especially people that are not necessarily doing well. Let me be clear. If you're not winning, hope can be a very dangerous thing. So we saw, so somebody posted a video on Smart. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with Smart. Dope dude. And the video was based on him discussing faith and how he doesn't necessarily believe in faith, and he's more just an action type, and how we were kind of finessed into get into this position. And a couple things caught me off guard. Well, not caught me off guard, but the comments based on what he was saying. Well, let me show it to you all. Then we'll get into the reading, the rest of the reading, the chapter on faith, because I was going to finish to you the last 2 pages on faith. Before we have that discussion, I want us to get into this video real quick. So you guys tell me what you think. Should already be queued up. Yes, we are. All right. Like it when it's queued up. Shout out to the tech team. Nah. All right, let's get into it.
Had action, the black man had faith. He gave us faith. You believing of a man in the sky.
I gotta hear it first.
The white man had action, the black man had faith. He gave us faith. You believing of a man in the sky to come that never will, and then you believe in a man on the ground that wants to put you in the ground. And all the while, he was taking action. You praying all this bullshit that, you know what I mean, broke Muslims is? You going to church on Sunday, you ain't getting $1. But now, forget faith. I'm not asking God for shit. God already gave me what he was supposed to give me. He gave me neuromelanin, breath, organs, and limbs that work. So, hey, I'm not praying anymore to God. I'm going to pray to myself. I'm going to say, okay, body, okay, left foot. Okay, I'm praying to my left foot. I'm praying to my right foot. I'm praying to my left hand. I'm praying to my right hand. I'm praying to my elbows. I'm praying to my shoulders. And I'm moving. And I'm like, okay, now let's take action, buddy. Right? This is the kingdom that I have. This is an army that God has given me. Thank you. I'm grateful. Right? I have gratitude for receiving this blessing of life. Now I'm going to take action with the life that God gave me. I'm going to amplify.
We're going to end this right here.
Yeah.
All right, so let me hide this for a sec. That video, everything he's saying, when I hear it, is inspiring. I agree with everything that he's saying. And I wrote out a comment because I just saw that video. I saw it yesterday, but I didn't really look at it. What I do in the morning, I wake up, I review a lot of the videos. So I was looking at that and I wrote a comment. And instead of posting the comment about 30 minutes ago, I said, I can't, because as soon as I start commenting on stuff, and then if somebody responds, I'm going to stop the show just to feel like I got to get one off. It just is what it is. But this was my response to that. or my comment on it. I agree with his message and think we as a people would be in a much better place if we embrace more of this way of thinking. I'm not even really sure what there is to disagree with. He's saying he's grateful for everything that God has given him and now prays to maximize and perform with everything God has given him. There's nothing more honorable than that. Seems like people are either just taking it out of context or just not understanding what I understand him to be saying. What's the issue? That when he prays, he's not praying to God. There's no action. There's nothing more godly than taking action. So that was my comment that I will post. Had a couple typos, so I'll post that afterwards. But that was my thoughts on it. I don't understand. And if you look at, hold on, I don't know if you all can see the comments, but I'll read some of the comments. Not praying is crazy. Somebody wrote that. It's LOL, bruh. Does this dude even hear himself? LOL. This is the wisdom of man, foolishness, full of nonsense, no disrespect, man. But yo, this is an inferiority complex in the mind of so many black men and women who believe the white man somehow is doing something differently than sin outside of God's grace. It is ridiculous and closed-minded to say that all black people and white people were in one accord doing the same things. Meanwhile, some white folks are just as broke as the, like, you see, it's just going to a totally different place. Now the next person, I don't argue with stuff like that because I believe in God and I'm successful, and I know I'm not just successful because of myself. Okay. The sad part is he thinks he is praying to himself, but he's praying to the one who created him. Prayed to God, affirmed the bodied action. Next person, not into cross conversion, but praying in the flesh. That is weak to all the facts of life. Everybody's disagreeing with him. Everybody's not only disagreeing with him, but it seems like people are offended by what he said. And I don't understand what he said, because I think, like I said, I think people, what exactly is prayer? Ant brought up a good, well, I'll tell you my definition. My definition is just speaking something, a conversation, or a conversation that you're having with yourself or with somebody else that, I mean, that's all it really is for me. Conversation. You could say, I mean, depending on how somebody breaks it down, some prayers could be manifesting. Some people could be asking for things. Some people could be envisioning different things. But in all actuality, it's a conversation. That's my opinion. But let's go to the definition. It says a solemn request for help or expression of thanks addressed to God or an object of worship. It's a lot, object of worship. We could worship anything. You can have a conversation with somebody. I think mine is a little bit more or less, I should say, structured, I guess, according to religion. But I guess religious people feel like they own prayer because I think anybody can pray. And this one says an earnest hope or wish. That to me, I guess, is why you're praying. So the definition of prayer, I still don't. We read too, a religious service, especially a regular one at which people gather in order to pray together. Seems like everybody's confused about the definition of prayer. Let me go to Webster's. An address such as a petition to God or a God in word or thought. The act or practice of praying to God or God, or religious service consisting chiefly of prayers. See, I don't think that you have to pray to God for it to be a prayer. I don't see it like that. But if you do, I think that you could pray to whoever. But I guess that's irrelevant. Who you're praying. I don't want to get into an argument on that. But my issue is pretty much like there is nothing more. If you want to show the strongest faith, it's by taking action. There's nothing that shows a stronger faith than action. Hope is something different. Hope is when you're hopeful for something. Faith is actually the opposite of hope in a lot of ways. Faith is knowing something. Hope is hoping for something. It's wishing for something. Faith is knowing. So, and a lot of these people talk about, prayer. I guess their issue is with him praying to God. Like him lacking the faith, his actions are the faith. So I know they cut up the video and everything like that, but his actions are the faith. There's nothing more, because think about what we read in the book yesterday. Faith is accepting, knowing. It's knowing. So somebody who knows that they're going to be successful, knows that they're going to have a great game. You know what shows that they were, real faithful is that they go out and actually do it. That they take the actions to practice a lot more than everybody else, rather than just, that's the real faith. Not praying for it, but actually taking the action. Ant commented. So Ant wrote, but honestly, you need both faith and action. He does pray just in his own way. His action is his prayer. Facts. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, facts. His actions are him believing or having faith that he will get what he wants through work. And you know what's so funny? Like, that's a very logical response to the video. What scares me is the fact that people are so offended by it. And I can't help but wonder if that's the reason for our mindset being what it is. They're talking about him having, I think somebody wrote that he had an inferiority complex. No, everybody else has the inferiority complex, in my opinion. When you just pray on something and lack the action, when you just have faith and lack the action, then it's not real faith to me. That's an inferiority complex. Because what did the book say? When you have faith, you assume that you are already that thing. And one thing that he touched on that I don't think a lot of us maybe even think about, something that I've been doing a lot in the reading, or coming across a lot in the reading, which is everything is already created. We are not creating anything. Everything is already created. We just put things in motion. Everything's already created for us. So we don't have to create anything. It's already here. Now we can design it, however we want to design it, but it's already here. We can design a nice house, but everything needed to create that house is already created. So that's kind of how I look at it. But I want to touch on the last 2 pages of this reading, because maybe that'll give us some insight. But it says, the Bible is full of many statements about faith, the true meaning of which few are aware. Here are some typical examples. Unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. In this quotation, the us and them make clear that all of us hear the gospel. Gospel means good news. Very obviously, good news for you would be that you had attained your desire. That is always being preached to you by your infinite self. To hear that which you desire does exist, and you need only to accept it in consciousness is good news. To hear that which you desire does exist, and you need only to accept it in consciousness is good news. Not, quote unquote, mixing with faith means to deny the reality of that which you desire. Hence, there is no profit or attainment possible. So think about this. They're saying that it's already here. And I don't even want to get into all the other, there's a couple other quotes from the Bible. Like I said, this is not the Bible that I'm reading from, but they just do a good job of, in my opinion, taking verses from the Bible and breaking them down in a very digestible way. But long story short, I don't know. That video for me, I hear it and I totally get it. I totally get it. I also happen to think that, we are gods. I think that we're godly. So I told y'all before, I look at God as like the ultimate, status. But if whatever we come from, we are, we have to have that in us. So I believe that him praying to himself, him exhibiting the faith through his actions, I don't have an issue with that. And let me also double down and say that I believe that if more people adopted his way of thinking, we'd be in a better position. Let me just put that out there. And that's going to lead to a few other conversations that we're going to have where, for whatever reason, I don't think that we are, like, we'll see other cultures doing certain things, but we feel like, oh, that's just them. I'm not doing it. Like, it's literally like seeing somebody next to you be successful doing something. You're not successful overall. Like, your group is not successful, but you just ignore and want to tear down what they're doing or just not acknowledge it as working. So that's one of the things that, you know, just, and we're going to touch on that in a different area when we talk about, I'm going to show you a video on like some gender roles and stuff like that, that I thought was a good video to show. But let's get into the, I know Ant wrote a couple other comments. People won't understand because they are too busy being sheep and really understanding what is needed to get what you want out of life. God put the plan in place, not man. Work and faith equals blessed. I can't say that I think God put the plan in place. Well, I can say that. I think God's plan was for us to put the plan in place. Let me rephrase that. I don't think that my life or anybody's life is written. I don't think that, you know, even if there is a plan, I guess, even if you think that God does have a plan for you based on, you know, your purpose that you're supposed to fulfill, it's on you to carry out that plan. Plans to build a house don't build a house. You know, action builds a house. So that's kind of how I look at it. But I know you're saying the same thing. I know, and let me be very clear. I know what Ant's on. Ant's about action. So I don't want to make it seem like my comments are in response to, you know, what Ant's saying, as far as me assuming that Ant's not with that. Now, I know what you meant. Just make sure you are working towards your goals, not someone else's, not someone else. That's where man twists the plan to work in their favor. Creates workers, not independents. I agree. And he wrote, by plan, I meant formula. Yeah, it's something interesting to consider. Definitely something interesting to consider. I don't know. I think if we just focus on the action, like, we've had a lot of the faith. We have not lacked, in my opinion, in the faith category, but I feel like we have significantly lacked when it comes to actions in which others have not, other groups have not. And a lot of it, that is why we see how things play out.